Cool.
All right, we're back. We got a special edition for you. Our guest is the one and only bass player extraordinaire of Humble Pie Legacy. Please welcome Ivan Bodley.
Hey, man.
Hey,
Good to see
Ivan.
you. Thanks so much
Man,
for
great
having me.
talking about this amazing music. Like I say, we grew up on the greats back in the 70s. I
Yeah.
hold that era as really the greatest era of music. Of course, there were greats in the 60s. Of course, the foundation started in the 50s. Of course, there was great stuff in the 80s. But it seemed like the 70s, from Led Zeppelin's first record all the way to the beginning of the 80s and or MTV, there was something special in the water, and bands like Humble Pie and the Led Zeppelins and of
Hmm.
course the Beatles and so the Stones. So many groups came out, and there were no rules. They could blend funk and soul and pop and classical music and whatever it was that floated their boat. But um, boy, with freeform radio, I
Right.
can like remember the first time I heard "I Don't Need No Doctor" from Rockin' the Fillmore, on the radio, or hearing and just pouring over that album cover for Smoking and seeing the
Yeah.
guys on the back, while you're listening to 30 Days in the Hole and Hot and Nasty. It was just,
So
a special
powerful.
time. What'd you say?
I said that music was so powerful. Like
Oh my
hearing those things,
God.
you could hear the energy from the stage, from the live album. You could hear the energy in the studio for all the studio stuff. Like it was just such an engaging recording legacy that they have. Unbelievable.
Yeah, Jerry tells the story of them mixing the live album and turning in, and the label said, "Where's the crowd?" They didn't understand. The mixing the crowd was like mixing another instrument,
Yeah, you got to
and
mic
they're
them.
like, well, let's do take two," and they're like, "Man, it's like Frampton Comes Alive," or one of my other favorite live albums is AC/DC. If You Want Blood, the audience is like another
Sure.
member of the band.
Right.
It's
That's
like
right.
in your face. They're just egging Angus and Bon Scott on. But here we go with performance, Rockin' the Fillmore.
Hmm.
And I know it was called from at least two nights, I believe, if not more.
I believe
As you
that's
say,
correct.
they were
Hmm.
opening, and that's what I loved about Bill Graham's shows. You would
Hmm.
get this combination of artists. You might get, Santana with a blues band and a folk singer, and
Right. That's
a,
right.
a funk group. I mean, it was like, whoa, he really invented what we know today as Lollapalooza and Coachella and Download and
Way ahead of his time.
oh my gosh. Yeah, like I say, if there was one thing I could go back in time, I would have lived in New York City in those
Yeah.
70, 71, 72, going to those shows. You didn't have to worry about the ticket price, man. Free parking on the street, it
Six
was
fifty
just
for 4 acts or whatever it was.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it was insane. But it
Hmm.
brings us, with your love of the mighty Humble Pie, Steve Marriott, Greg Ridley, both Peter Frampton and Clem Clemson, and the underrated super drummer Jerry Shirley. What how did this come on your radar? When did you first hear about, hey, Jerry is putting together a band to play the legacy of Humble Pie the right way, the real way, with the
Hmm.
DNA included here?
I first got a call in 2018, and I kind of didn't believe my ears. I'm like, "Excuse me, say that again real slow. Like what did you just say?" You know, like we're putting together a band to celebrate the legacy of Humble Pie, and it is sanctioned by and monitored by and approved by our boss, the great Jerry Shirley, who's with us every step of the way. Trust me, he's on every email, every phone call. He's watching everything we do. He's approving everything we do, and I just like pinching myself, like this can't be happening. I was like, this can't be happening. And we ended up doing 2 tours in 18 and 2019 before the pandemic completely shut us down. So like we were just really getting the thing up and running, getting it on its feet, finding our sea legs, you know, finding out what our role is as, the legacy version of Humble Pie. Like, what, how are we approaching this music? Um, Greg Ridley is one of my all-time rock and roll bass heroes, and to I've always been a fan, but now that I'm suddenly like in this group, I have to. I spent a couple of weeks honestly going through every song that we were going to be playing live and transcribing. I wrote out note for note everything that Greg played on the original recordings, because I wanted to internalize his phrasing, his note choices, everything that he was doing, just to sort of be able to present our version of the legacy, uh, while completely, doing honor to the original recordings, but also not making it a museum piece, if you know what I'm saying. Like, we're not just being archivists. We're not like the Alan Lomax Smithsonian Institution, um, recordings of, of blues guys out in the field. Like, this is a living, breathing animal, and we're bringing this music, live to people's ear holes, like night after night, and it's very exciting. It's a great, great thing to be involved with, and I feel incredibly lucky. Like, the phone rang one day. Really, that's literally what happened. The phone rang one day, and it's like, I've been doing this for decades and decades now, and it's like, you can't make the phone ring. You can you can only do what you do, and try to have integrity with how you conduct yourself and how you play and what you know. So then when you get a phone call like that, you're like, yes, I am interested. Thank you for calling me. I'll be right over. That's all you could do at that point.
Yeah, and what can you say about your cohorts here, Dave Bucket Caldwell?
Dave, as the bucket as we call him, Dave is a bona fide rock star. He just he I don't know how to say it. He just lives and breathes rock guitar. I feel like that's all he's ever done. That's all he ever wants to do. And when he goes up on stage, he just completely owns his space, his his part in the musical spectrum. He spent, what was it, 12 years on the road with Bad Company. He was in the most recent incarnation of Humble Pie in 2000 with Jerry and with Greg Ridley. He's just a bona fide rock star. Such a pleasure to work with, and great hearing him. Night after night, everything he plays is like, nope, that's real, that's authentic, that's rock, that's how that's done. Great, love him.
Yeah, we had a great chat with him, and you can just tell that he was born a few years earlier. He might have been the original guitarist in Bad Company, or might have been in, one of those other, great bands, or who knows, might have challenged Clem Clemson for the slot,
Very
originally.
possibly, he's one of those guys, man. He's no joke. He's a serious rock guitar player. I dig it. I really like him a lot.
Yeah, we can't wait to see, because I know, even though you've put in some test shows, so to speak, got your legs underneath you. I know the best is yet to come. And Bobby Marks, how about him as a drummer? How's that rhythm section?
Similar sort of thing. Like, I didn't know Bobby before this, even though we're both in sort of the New York area. But when we came together, Bobby calls it the engine room. The bass and the drums are the engine room of the band. And when we got together, it immediately locked. It immediately, like, his groove and his pocket is so deep and so wide. And again, he's taking all of his inspiration from Jerry Shirley, even down to like the sizes of the drums that he plays, just to match Jerry's equipment, his style, his attitude. But it still brings his own flair, his own immediacy to it, and it was just like, bass and drums have a very special relationship in any band, because almost every note I'm playing is doubling to some extent every kick drum note that he's playing. Like, we're working in concert together way more than any other two instruments in any given sort of rock band. So if that marriage isn't compatible, 100% compatible, all night you're just like you're pulling ahead or you're trying to pull the drummer behind. It's just a drag to do that. And with Bobby, I don't we don't look at each other like we're almost reading each other's minds. Like we have the symbiosis that was immediate. It was, it's a chemical thing. Like you can't practice that. You can't, you don't know how it's going to work out the first time you play with somebody. But we had this instant lock. I don't have to think about him. He doesn't have to think about me. He knows I'm there. I know he's there, and we can spend our energies into working on a higher level, and creating the music and entertaining the audience and singing our parts and doing everything we have to do. So he's just a pleasure to work with. He's a great guy, and he's a great drummer. I'm very lucky to work with him.
Yeah, I could tell in talking to him that he's proud to be part of the pie, and ready to serve it up. And it's pretty amazing. And guys stepping in some pretty big shows here. Jim Stapley, talk about it.
Yeah. I mean, Steve Marriott has a voice that is steeped in American soul, rhythm and blues, R&B. He's a great lover of that music. Came to Humble Pie already as a pop star from the Small Faces, so he had a tremendous amount of experience. But then there's a thing that he has, which is genetic. Like he's got this crazy first tenor high range. You've heard him sing. Like there's no note that he can't hit, right? So he's got this energy, this ferocity to him, and to sort of, have somebody try to step into those shoes to sort of pay tribute to what Steve was doing, and then sort of make that thing come alive and live for a new generation. It's so difficult, And Stapley, he's one of those guys. He's one of the rare people who can actually pull that off. He's got the range, he's got the energy, he's got the experience. He's a great guitar player. He's a great keyboard player. Just like Steve was. Like you got to find somebody who's got a crazy first tenor voice, who's a great guitar player, is a great keyboard player, and just an all-around band leader. Kind of, how many people fit that bill? There's got to be, 5 in the world, and we have one of them. It's Jim Stapley, and he's in the band, and we're just like thrilled. We're over the moon about it. It's going to be great.
Yeah. No, it's something we can't wait to feel, is to be in that venue and just kind of squint, or think with our ears, just soak it in and say, God, Marriott's not here, Ridley's not here anymore, but these guys are really bringing it as authentic as it can be. And this music still influences, I can name, a couple dozen of the top groups in the world, and they'll tell you Humble Pie, was one of their inspirations. Look at Kiss. Kiss is on their 100%. Final farewell into the road, and Paul and Gene will tell you, no, Humble Pie was one of the inspirations. And we'd see them in New York, and they were awesome. I mean, every time Steve hit that stage, he was taking you to church, man. You felt like you were in a gospel choir of the most get down rock and roll, funky church, in the world. That was just a party. It was a celebration.
Yeah.
It was like the damn Blues Brothers movie, they're celebrating the soul and the blues. And here's the greats. But having that DNA through Bucket, who played with Humble Pie with Jerry and Greg, and of course Jerry coaching and overseeing it, and your manager Steve, who's taken such passion to this. And we're super excited to be one of the first, if not the first, outlet that's interviewed not only all 4 members, and as we roll out the announcements, you'll be seeing these interviews, but also interviewing the living members of Humble Pie as we know it, with Jerry Shirley and Clem Clemson. So yeah, the legacy is in good hands. All the fans, those that never got a chance to see him, get ready, because this is the next best thing, and it's as close as you're going to get. And
One of the things about the original Humble Pie shows is they were never ever phoning in a show. Like it was full out every night, every single night, every single time. And we're very much conscious of that legacy. The fact that there's going to be no phoning in anything everywhere, anywhere. Like we have that because we spent so much time as fans growing up listening to the music, and now that we're approaching them as professionals, like, we're extracting every piece of the DNA, and trying to combine it into our own selves. There's no way to phone in a Humble Pie Legacy show. We have to go up there and just leave it all on the floor every night. I heard a friend of mine saying, even because we were talking about the performance Rockin' the Fillmore, that was actually an opening set that they've recorded those shows. So even when they opened the show, they closed the show. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the way they were, and we understand that very deeply, and we know that we've got to rise to the occasion every time. And P.S., we're thrilled to do it. Like we couldn't be more honored to be a part of that, and we really look forward to just going out there and just leaving it all on the floor every night. So very excited about what's coming in front of us.
well, I send my condolences to whoever had to follow Humble Pie that night. It was it was a sight to be seen, and we've all been in those halls where it's like once the lights go up after the opening act, you're like, yeah, I think we just saw the headliner. I don't think anybody's going to follow that. So
Well, at that time, it was Lee Michaels, and Lee Michaels was playing a Hammond B3, singing lead, and he had a drummer. It was a duo. It was just a duo. Like I can't imagine, as good as his big hit later was "Do You Know What I Mean," right? But this is even before that, so I can't imagine like what it must have been like to come on stage after Marriott, Ridley, Shirley, and Frampton had just wiped the floor with the place, and like say, okay, and now I'm going to do my duo act on my Hammond organ. Like, good luck, buddy. Enjoy. Hope it works out for you.
yeah, I'm sure the aisles and lobby were filled, unfortunately for him at that point. People looking for a Humble Pie t-shirt, probably. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
whoa,
yeah,
the
yeah.
hell was that? That was incredible. So yeah, well, we can't wait to, of course, follow the links below. We've got all the hookups. I understand a lot of the early dates are East Coast based. Us Cali kids, man, we're jealous. I told Steve I might have to start making some travel plans, but I know the Mighty Pie will be heading westward, as they say. Go west, young man.
Yes, we're
But
working on it. We're warming up the bus. We're putting the road cases together. We're getting it all. We're coming, but this initial tour is going to be east of the Mississippi for now. For now.
yeah, well, we'll let you have that. It just means you'll be that much more tight
That's
by the
right.
time you bring it to Cali and Vegas and San Francisco and Phoenix and Seattle and all that, because we got a mighty West Coast all the way up to Vancouver, all the way
That's
down to
right.
Tijuana. We are ready to party with Humble Pie, and we're going to do it hot and nasty. I don't care what the PMRC or the PC code says. We're coming on a full tilt. So our special guest is the one and only Ivan Bodley, aka Funk Boy. Check him out. It is Humble Pie Legacy. Get ready, him and Bucket and Jim and of course Bobby are going to slay you. So let them know. J Rock told you first, so you were prepared. So Ivan, thanks so much. Can't wait to give you a fist bump in person and celebrate all the work that you've done for this and the great work you've done over the years and putting the spotlight on and celebrating greatness. That's what we're all about here at Rock Forever. We appreciate all that you do. Until our next conversation, please keep rocking.
Thanks so much, man. Looking forward to seeing you, brother.